We are indeed.
Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the World of Gaming, the number one podcast where we discuss everything that happened in gaming this week. We talk about games, news, and of course, technology. And this is going to be an awesome show because we have so many very, very interesting things to cover today. Dutch, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's been very busy, as you know.
Yeah,
I have been streaming literally just before this for the charity, and now we're here. Podcast time. I'm looking
awesome
forward to getting into it.
stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. And in case anyone has missed the charity streaming week, let people know what's happening there.
Yes, so we are raising money for Special Effect this week. Special Effect is an organization that essentially helps physically disabled people, severely physically disabled people, or those in intensive care units connect via innovative technology. So it could be things like breathing apparatus that allows them to control a game, or it could be eye tracking technology or adaptive controllers. You name it, they help organize and bring that to those who are in need of those bits of equipment so that they can do just the basic stuff we take advantage of, which is connecting with friends, communicating, socializing, whether it be getting an education or otherwise. That is the beauty of Special Effect and what they do. So that's who we're raising money for. We are only midway through the charity week. So we've been doing shorter live streams this week, playing games, and Patchia and Emil and myself have been streaming, and Erwin today with some Forza Motorsport. But on the weekend, we are doing a 24-hour marathon live stream,
Yeah.
Saturday till Sunday.
Have you
And then in
already
2 weeks' time,
decided on a game?
yeah, we're gonna do a few community games. So we're going to do a little bit of PUBG. We're gonna do a little bit of Forza. We're gonna play some Party Animals. We're gonna do some Warhammer 40K. We're gonna mix it
Nice.
up and play some community stuff. So community, anyone who's listening on Boxenberger's channel or on my channel, it's open community. So if you see us playing something and you want to jump in over the 24 hours, just literally drop us a message in the chat and say you want to play. And everyone's welcome to jump in and have some fun over this 24-hour marathon. So it's
Awesome
open
stuff.
for everybody to come and have some fun.
That sounds like a blast. So, just in case, I put the link, of course, in the description of this podcast, and I also posted the link in the chat. I mean, it's a fantastic thing you do. You do that every year. It's for a good cause, and of course, if you can and want to support that, you know where to find the link now. But yeah, Dutch, other than that, we are doing, of course, today an awesome podcast, and we couldn't do that without our amazing community. The chats are already filling up. Dual stream here today, and so I need to or want to welcome everyone who tunes in already, who will be tuning in later or after the fact on YouTube here or on the podcast service, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast. And since we've been growing on those platforms, especially Spotify and Apple Podcast, want to say a big thank you to that community as well. We really don't care where you're listening. We appreciate you taking the time, lending us your ear, and of course, those who are here live engage with us in the discussions. And there's so much to discuss here today. Of course, we will talk about the game that will melt the internet, the trailer that is going to drop early December, GTA 6.
Yep, that's towards 2.
Yeah, Hogwarts too. Yeah, exactly. Then we have, of course, news on a lot of new games. Mass Effect has been teased, and a bunch of other things. We will talk about new Xbox staffing, Sony delaying a ton of games actually. BlizzCon happened over the weekend. There is a big controversy going around about Xbox AI and game development, and we have so many other topics. So it's going to be a blast here today. But first, of course, Dutch, I want to know what has kept you busy in gaming. What have you been playing? And I also want to know from everyone in the chat, by the way. Yeah, so let us know what you guys have been playing. Dutch, what kept you busy lately?
Oh, that's a good one because I've had a chance to play a multitude of things this week because I've changed the game every day that I've streamed. I haven't played the same game twice, which has been awesome. So I played and finished in one stream Jusant.
Oh, how was it, man?
Loved it. Loved it. It is such a different game to get the hang of. It is a climbing adventure game. There is no combat, but each trigger is a handhold, and you hold so that to grab onto a ledge, you hold down the right trigger or left trigger, depending on which hand it is. And to let go of the ledge, again, you need to let go of the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to get used to literally grabbing the triggers. Yeah.
Wasn't that Tomb Raider that also did something similar?
Something very similar, yeah. This it's so initially it's tricky, but when you get the hang of it, you just start flying up things and you're just like swimming along. But there are some tricky things, some tricky parts that you can quite easily fall down on. But it's a beautiful game, great little story, and it doesn't outstay its welcome. There's a lot of little hidden bits that you can go and find as well, little hidden areas. It's a beautiful art style. The story is told through a journal that you can read all the way up. So it's about this these people who essentially the Earth's went to shit. It's dried up completely. There is no water, and there's a fable. There's a story, a mystical story of these creatures up in the sky that hold all the water. And so the journey that you go on is to find out what happened to the people who went to find these mystical creatures.
Yeah.
And goes from there. So it's I recommend anybody who hasn't played it. I recommend it highly. It is an indie game that is definitely up there with a shout for potential indie game of the year nomination. In my opinion, in terms of its art style, its direction, the mechanics, the music, and the story that it tells. Really great. I've also been playing more Save Stars.
Yeah,
jump back on that again.
Yeah,
how do you like again. It? Yeah, I love it. I had to get used to the mechanics again because I'd forgot how to parry and I forgot how to do the additional attack if you time it right and things like that. But once I got used to that again, I was flying. I did a couple of the boss battles. I had to repeat a couple of times, and you have to remember to rest frequently and save frequently. And but yeah, love that as well. And I've been playing something else as well. I'm trying to remember what. I've been playing a few things. I can't remember.
Man.
Yeah, those two are the ones that stick out. Those two are the ones that stick. Oh, Kena Bridge of Spirits. I was playing yesterday.
That's a good one. How far are you into it?
Ooh, it's a good shout. I have.
Did it become difficult already?
No, I've got up to just after I've got the bow. So I've got the bow, and I played about maybe an hour after I got the bow. For the first time.
So you're still early in.
Yeah, really, really digging the game. I love the combat. The art style's brilliant. The storytelling's really cool.
Yeah.
The characters are really well done. But no, brilliant game. I'm really digging it. It's one of the ones I'm going to probably play offline myself, but thoroughly been enjoying that. Yeah, so that's the 3 games that have kept me occupied so far, and a little bit of Forza today with Erwin.
But you had no chance, probably.
Well, not when he tried, but the last race we did there on Laguna Seca was really fun. Fun. So, no, it's been good. It's been good, and I've had some fun. Regardless of how many people's been in the chat, I've had fun playing these games. So
nice.
That's what matters.
Nice. That's what matters most. Yeah. Love that you enjoy Kena because that game really is a good one. But there is a point in the game, and after that, almost becomes Souls-like, like brutally difficult suddenly, and that's really a weird thing to do because it starts off more like a Zelda-esque game, not the new ones, but more like the old ones, and then all of a sudden it becomes a Souls-like game. Really challenging, but I had a blast playing that. Yeah, absolutely. So, what has our community been playing? Patio has been playing Modern Warfare 2.
Of course he has.
Of course he has. Of course he has. Yeah, true. Tomorrow is when the Modern Warfare 3 online goes live, right? I think.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Happy Cloud Gamer has done a lot of dead stuff, not so much gaming. Yeah, I can relate to that, man. I've been playing, Alan Wake a lot, and I absolutely love the game. So Alan Wake 2, yeah. And but the thing is, that game kind of really creeps me out. Like, it is such a dense atmosphere, and there are so many insane jump scares, and lately I've been working like crazy, and I've usually then only play after like 10 to 12 hours of work when the kids are in bed in the evening, and I'm too exhausted, honestly, to play such a game. So I paused that, and I started actually Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty.
Oh, what did you make of that first hour?
I loved
that first hour in the box.
I loved it. So yeah, I actually forgot to record some gameplay, so I'm just putting on here some gameplay from the main game of my second playthrough of the main game.
Nice.
But
I'm going to just quickly interrupt there if you don't mind, because we've had two donations, one of which I cannot see the amount.
Okay.
For some reason, but I can't see the message. One of them is from Muppet. So thank you, Muppet, for a £10 plus £2.50 gift aid. Go on, boys. Hope you reach your goal. Thank you very much, sir. And another one from Dot Full Stop says, let's round it up to the next 100 mark. Still forever proud, smashing this week. And that takes us to a total of £400 out of 1,500 so far.
Is
26% of the way through.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
Thank you guys so far.
Thank you guys for supporting here. So where were I? Cyberpunk. Yeah, man. It is. I'm still pretty early in. I would say like 3 hours maybe or so. But it is really, really good, and it's been a while. I haven't played Cyberpunk ever since the 60 FPS patch came out, and when was that? That was February, March, something like this year. And they really changed a lot. Like the inventory management is completely changed. The skill trees are completely changed. I loaded up my old save file where it says, point of no return. And I used that save file to play then the Phantom Liberty DLC, and they even reset the entire skill tree, because they changed that system, and it's really well done now. And also visually, like when you first enter Phantom Liberty and you go through that market that they put you through, like the lighting effects and the volumetric fog effects and the density of the NPCs, and I just forgot how beautiful that game actually is. I still think this is probably the best looking game we had this gen so far. Like, I know Alan Wake looks absolutely fantastic, but that's a very linear game, and this is like a massive open world with fantastic lighting, and especially the volumetric effects with the fog and the god rays, and this game is just insane. And without fact checking, it feels like they also improved the rendering of the characters and NPCs, especially. Like, their hair looks insane, the The facial animations are amazing. And so far, the story is really good and fun. And the car combat that they added, it's a really welcome addition. So it made me wonder, honestly, why the CD Projekt Red decided to abandon the Red engine, because again, this is the most stunning thing probably out there, and for them to switch to Unreal 5 going forward, if you have such an incredible powerhouse engine, I don't know, man. I get the business aspect, but gonna miss that Red engine. Would have been cool to see what they can do if they fully develop a Red Engine 2 for current gen and probably next gen consoles then in 2028 or so. So I don't know. But yeah, it's so much fun, and it's simply, it's not lighthearted, but it is like easier to take in Cyberpunk than an Alan Wake horror story right now. I really like Alan Wake. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but I'm just not in the mood when I'm so exhausted after work to play. And And then I have also been playing a little bit of Sea of Stars. I continued there too. Playing that on my Ally, and this is just, I'm just a sucker for those turn-based pixel arty JRPGs, I also love Octopath Traveler to the Death. Can't wait till October 2 drops into Game Pass in, when did they say? I think February or something next year. And Sea of Stars is much easier to get into, but it's a very, very fun and deep RPG. I do really enjoy that as well. So yeah, and I played a little bit of little bit of Starfield as well this week.
See, I've put that on the back burner because I've finished it. I've started a new game plus. I've thought, right, I've got a lot of games I need to catch up on first. I can dive back into Starfield whenever now because I finished that.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I can just jump in whenever on that game now. So that's on the back burner. I'm glad I finished Juicon, so I got a good indie game done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna potentially do some of the collectibles because I had fun on that game anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna dive into some other things. I'm gonna finish Dead Space remake. I'm gonna dive into a few other games like that. Finish off Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. So yeah, there's a few bits I want to do. I think Cyberpunk's quite a chunky one as well. So then I've got enough time now to finish a lot of these games to get them done before my last and only purchase of this year, which is Avatar.
Avatar. Yeah, same here. I actually cannot wait. Everything I've seen so far from Avatar looks really good, man. It's obviously a visually very beautiful game, but I want to see that first-person parkour system in that world, and it really looks fun. I'm definitely gonna get that as well. Is there anything else in terms of major releases coming that I'm forgetting? I think after Modern Warfare 3 tomorrow, it's mostly Avatar, and that's it for major releases.
That's the big one. I'll have a quick look because I've got the Xbox on here, and so I'll be able to tell you.
All right. So yeah, that's definitely something, and we are nearing the end of the year, and it has been an insanely good year. We've talked about this a couple of times here on the show. 2023 is probably going to go down as the best year in video game history ever. So yeah,
no, that's it. That's literally the biggest game left this year is Avatar. Other than that, you've got Warhammer Realms of Ruin, Persona 5 Tactica, Persona 3 Remake, I think, unless that's already out now. And that's it. Prince of Persia is January. Alone in the Dark is January. Tekken is January. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is January.
I mean, it's going to continue next year,
February. Yeah, it's going to get nuts. And then we've got a Uden Chronicles, 100 Heroes in April, which I can't wait for. But yeah, Avatar is the last big game coming out this year.
Yeah. And of course, we are going to do an end of the year show like we've done for the last 3 or 4 years. I actually need to look that up, how many times we've done that already. It's a great tradition with Lord Cognito and Ainsley Bowden from Seasoned Gaming. And we are nearing the end, but we still have a lot more to play this year because I haven't played everything I wanted to play this year. A couple of games I just haven't found the time yet. Phantom Liberty being one of them, playing that now. Yeah. Also need to play Final Fantasy 16. I skipped that.
Yes, that's one I need to pick up before the end of the year as well.
I
don't have to, but I want to.
Like I'm still rooting here for a Black Friday deal,
Same.
Yeah. Same. So yeah, man, it's been an insanely good year, but let us continue, man, and talk about some of the news of the week. I want to start with Mass Effect. We had N7 Day, and BioWare, EA, they actually teased Mass Effect again with a CGI trailer. And man, every time when I see something Mass Effect related, I'm automatically just getting excited. I love the Mass Effect games. I even enjoyed Mass Effect Andromeda. Yes, it was not as good as the original trilogy, but it was still a fun game. Especially the shooting mechanics and cover system was really fun in that game. So I know that BioWare is not the same anymore. It's really not the studio. The people that worked there on the original trilogy are mostly gone. And I'm since I'm just a sucker for Mass Effect, I think that's one of the best gaming trilogies ever made. I'm naturally excited. They announced Mass Effect with the first teaser back in 2020 already, so it's been 3 years, and we're getting another teaser. And they actually had something to say. BioWare talked about the process of making that game. And they had to say the following. The process is equal parts rewarding and challenging. We've asked ourselves many of the same questions you've asked us over the years. What happened to everyone you know and love in the games? Who really died? Who had kids with whom? What does a baby Volo sound like? What about all the galaxies, the endings? What the heck is going on with our Asari scientist turned shadow broker? What about S? Never mind. You get the idea. And of course, those questions are and of course, to those questions, there are answers, but you'll have to wait to hear them. And anything we do say won't be easy to find, just like you've come to expect from our N7 Day teasers. So, yeah, man. They are hyping it already, but it sounds like it's going to be years, and I mean really years away. Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb actually went on the Game Mess morning show this Wednesday and said that he isn't expecting that game until 2029. Yeah, and according to his sources. So it's still a long way to go, and that actually would make the next Mass Effect a next-gen game, because we all expect the new consoles, the next Xbox and PlayStation consoles to come out by 2028. So Dutch, I want to hear your thoughts before I give my spiel here. What do you think, Mass Effect, and it being that far away? Do you think that's the reality, or what What do you think, man?
Yeah, it's hard to know these days because it seems like a lot of the industry are having trouble with development of games at the moment. Whether or not they've just purposefully decided to elongate the development cycle. Um, it seems like a lot of big AAA games are taking much longer now, and I think Phil Spencer alluded to it a few months back when he was
Yeah.
mentioning the dev cycles of AAA games. He said what used to be 3, 4, 5 years, and looking at 6, 7, 8 years for a development cycle of a big AAA game now. So I think we'll just see more of it. I think it's going to be more commonplace. And to be honest, if it means at the end of the day we're going to get a better, more polished product come its release date, then I don't care if it takes 5 years or 10 years to release. We kind of saw that with Starfield. Granted, Starfield still wasn't entirely bug-free. It was still the most polished Bethesda game that has ever released, without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't think without the extra year and a bit that they were provided, it would have been anywhere close to the state that it released in.
True. Yeah.
So I think, especially when it comes to BioWare and when it comes to Mass Effect, Andromeda didn't hit. Andromeda was okay, but a lot of fans had issues with it. And I think the next one, they really need to take their time, and it does need to hit for them. Otherwise, I think the series is done. A lot of people are just fondly remember the trilogy, which has thankfully been remastered to a great degree. It's a really good remaster. I've got the trilogy as well, the remastered version.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Honestly.
Yeah, the Legendary Edition, it's called, yeah. So they did a really good job on that, but Andromeda didn't hit the mark. There was a lot of issues where, obviously, you had dead face and dead eyes, which was talking to you, and she just didn't have no emotion whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think when it comes to BioWare, they definitely just take your time. Like 2028 sounds like it's miles away, but it's 5 years. Like if they've been doing this for 3 years,
2029, 6 years.
Yeah, it depends. It could get pulled forward. That could just be a preliminary date.
Yeah.
And to be fair, when you're talking about dates that far in advance, they're usually just preliminary anyway.
Yeah.
They're just like 29, whatever. Like if someone's mentioning a game that's 28, 29, 2020, 2030, like that's the preliminary. That's not, no one knows what's going on that far in advance or how quickly development's going to work up until that point. I would probably expect the game to be releasing 27, 28, to be honest. But even then, you're talking a 6, 7, 8 year development cycle, which is, I think, going to be more commonplace for big AAAs now. So
well, it really depends when they started it. I mean, they announced it in 2020. Andromeda came out in 2017. So counting from that, it would be 12 years in between the two Mass Effects. Nevertheless, we also cannot forget that they still have Dragon Age coming. And the next Dragon Age is going to come first. They already confirmed that. So, yeah, we are expecting to see that probably next year. I don't know if it will be out next year. But yeah, BioWare has gone through a lot. Internal changes, the Anthem debacle. I still think Anthem was a fantastic game, gameplay-wise. It was a really fun game, great gameplay mechanics. But yeah, whenever Dragon Age comes out, that's gonna be 24 or 25, and so there's definitely a gap in between Dragon Age and Mass Effect. They are not like Insomniac releasing, major games every year. So yeah, I don't know if 29, the prediction or source from Jeff Grubb, is set in stone. I don't think so, but yeah, we still expect Mass Effect to be out many years. there's also the rumor out there that this game is going back to the more linear slash open aerial kind of design of the original trilogy. With Andromeda, they tried to go full open world. You had those different planets and you could explore them completely freely. You had side quest stuff, and basically all of them were fetch quests and stuff like that. And the rumor is that they are going back to that more narrative-driven linear-ish, storyline telling that they had in the original trilogy, with more open areas rather than open worlds, which I would actually appreciate. We have tons of open world games out there, but what the original Mass Effect trilogy did is kind of neglected. The only game I can think of from the top of my head that could be comparable to that kind of design was actually Outer Worlds, which wasn't really open world, but you had the more open areas that you could explore freely, but it was still relatively linear you were relatively linear in your progression. And I'm excited, but I get also the skepticism around BioWare games, and I think we shall see if BioWare can get back to that magic that they had during the 360 generation with the Dragon Age series and of course Mass Effect. And I just want to see Dragon Age first, because my Mass Effect just sounds so far away, and that's actually another great IP that they have. And I mean, the Game Awards are around the corner, so who knows? Maybe we get a tease there, man, for the next Dragon Age.
You never know. You never know.
EA has been awfully quiet.
I'm looking forward more to the next Dragon Age than I am to Mass Effect.
Really?
Yeah, I've never been a huge Mass Effect fan. I like them, but I'm not. I like them, but I'm not like the biggest Mass Effect fan. Like it would do it. A lot of them were just far too big and far too complex for me. I just didn't really get along with them that well. My friend was like the ultimate. You've muted yourself, by the way. You've muted yourself.
Sorry. I always say, like, not every game is for every gamer. Yeah, but man, Mass Effect, brother. That's... Oof. Yeah. It's a... I just hope that BioWare can get back to that groove that they had during the 360 days at some point. I mean...
You see, for Mass Effect, the weird thing for me with Mass Effect was that it was an RPG that had no real open world. It was like a linear RPG.
Yeah. I think that's what made it great, because
that's to me what makes it awkward. Like, you've got this like linear group party thing where you can select who comes with you and to do missions and so on and so forth, but the levels and the places you go, it's all linear. So there isn't really a point. Like, it's just like, there's the mission. Yeah, like, it makes no difference what party you've got with you.
But it is still, with all the decisions that you make, a very non-linear game. And I think that was really the charm of it, because you had that more narrow and linear mission and level structure and world design, but at the same point, you had a super branching narrative with all the characters and decisions you could kill off or not kill off and make, and all the tons of different endings, and the way how they progressed through the trilogy, where they carried over your save files and your decisions of the first game actually mattered in the second game and in the third game. And I think that was just super brilliant. And I don't think every game needs to be open world. And we have tons of open world games where you just think, man, that open world is just so bland and boring, and it's just some games are designed open world because it's the thing to do in 2023. Yeah, but it does not have to be open. A game doesn't have to be open world to be great, you know. And Mass Effect was just brilliant in the writing and the characters, and you were just so immersed in that story and world, and the real the characters were so relatable, and you could like you had an attachment to those, and when you had to make the tough decisions, you know, it really stuck with you, and it's just what made Mass Effect so, and still makes it, because if you play the Legendary Edition, it's amazing. It's just one of the best gaming trilogies ever made. Two being the best, of course. I have to.
I can understand why people like them. It's just, you know when something doesn't quite click with you. Like my best friend absolutely loves it. It's one of his like favorite franchises. I've lost track of the amount of times he's probably finished the game. Probably as many times as you finished Skyrim and Witcher. So there's a lot of people that absolutely love it, and fair on them. They probably love Mass Effect as much as I love Final Fantasy. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one I never quite kind of fell in love with. I like it. I just don't love it.
I get that. So taste is different, man, and that's totally fine. But yeah, BioWare. So we shall see. I mean, there has been like a mindset change within EA. You know, let me put it this way. It doesn't feel like EA is the worst company in the world anymore. You know what I mean? There has been this time, like, when was that? 6-7 years ago, when EA was voted the worst company to work for 3 years in a row. And it doesn't feel like that's the case anymore. I'm not saying that they suddenly changed into the good guys, but at least they let things like Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order happen. You know, that single player game that is not monetized, no microtransactions, and they could see success with that. And EA has been awfully quiet about all the things that they do. Yeah, they released Jedi Survivor this year, but that's it. They had the sports game. There was really no fuss around those. And we don't know what's going to happen to Battlefield and DICE and what they are working on. We know that what's the face? What's the name? The makers of Survivor. Help me out. I'm blanking here.
Oh God, no, I forgot.
You know, the studio that made
Respawn.
Thank you. We know that they are working on 2 other Star Wars games. We haven't heard or seen anything from those.
Well, we know Jedi's getting a trilogy anyway.
Yeah, that's being the third one, but they have actually the shooter and the strategy game in the making. Yeah, the strategy is co-developed with another studio, and since I forgot the name of Respawn, I can't remember that. But you know what I mean. Overall, we outside of the roadmap for that, and or the fact that we know they are making the next soccer game and all the sports games, which is an annual release. We really don't know what EA else has in the works, and they haven't shown any of their games and IPs off. So yeah, it's about time, EA, man. We want to see some stuff there, but yeah, let us move on, man, to something else. Last week we had BitCloud on. And BitCloud, obviously being an awesome dude and mostly a PlayStation-centric content creator, we talked about the empty roadmap of Sony first-party games, and it is and how that's just not looking good, and we have no idea what other than Wolverine is coming outside of a bunch of, you know, games as a service titles that nobody cares about. And actually, today Sony confirmed that their roadmap is gonna look even more empty over the next years, because they have delayed half of the 12 planned live service games beyond March 2026. Yeah, so 24, 25, we expected them to drop tons of games as a service titles, but now half of them are being delayed to beyond March 26. Of course, they said they want to ensure that these games are enjoyed and liked by gamers for a long time, and for that it's necessary. And I'm always pro delays. I always say, like, that famous quote from Miyamoto is just true. You rather delay a game than releasing a bad game. But yeah, other than Wolverine, which will not come out before 25, if even that, yeah. We have no idea what other exciting stuff is coming, and now even the games as a service titles are being delayed. In addition to that, we got the info from the Last of Us multiplayer director, the faction director. He said that he's still working on the project, but we heard that the game was reportedly scaled back earlier this year. Now they have internally delayed like half of their games as a service titles, which were supposed the thing that carry PlayStation through 24 and 25. Dutch, what do you think, man? How is that looking for Sony right now? And do you support that decision, or what's your thoughts, man?
I support them in not having as many games as service games in development.
Yeah, well, they didn't say they canceled them. They said they delayed them, and they delayed them significantly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would as well, because you do. Let's even Microsoft, who have a track record of now having really successful games as a service games.
Yeah.
And Minecraft, of course, which they bought, but they've nourished that to the point where it's more than tripled its user base.
Yeah.
Then you have a look at Sea of Thieves, which has got like 15, 20 odd million players. You look at the likes of Minecraft Legends, even Minecraft Dungeons. You look at all the different ones, the Forza Horizons, like all of these games, which are games as a service games. They know how to nourish them. They know how to make them work. And they also give them the time to make it work after launch. They don't just go, first year's being a write-off, just end it, stop supporting it. They go, do what you need to do to get this back on track. And we have the confidence in you to make this a success. And that's why these games work. And that's why Grounded is now getting a Forge mode. That's why Halo Infinite is now eventually coming around to the point where it's increasing in numbers and increasing in users again, because it's eventually hitting the right content that it needed to have at launch. Now, of course, granted, we don't want these games to launch with no content and have to battle uphill every time they launch a new game. But the difference here is that Microsoft are willing to give time for these studios to make them successful. I think the problem with Sony is that they will not give these games, when they launch, the time to make them successful. When they inevitably launch with little content, because a lot of games as a service games all make the same mistakes. They launch with a bunch of modes, with what they think is enough content, and the community has played that content within the first week. It's done.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh dear, we haven't thought this far ahead. Like, we haven't thought what happens if the community finishes this in the first 2 weeks, in the first month. They don't think that like that. And that's what catches them out. And the difference is it's Microsoft will give studios the time to get the content out and to roll it out over months or years.
Yeah.
To me, I don't think Sony will. Even now, even delaying half of them, I still don't think when they release these games as service games that they will give them the required time to bed in a community and roll out the content required to make it a successful games as a service game.
Yeah. It's true. The problem with games as a service is I don't think you can put a budget on making it a success. It's different with most first party AAA or not even general AAA game development. Yeah, if you invest heavily in production quality, in visuals, in things like that, your game is likely to be at least a success. In the fact that when you look at games like, I don't know, Tomb Raider, or if you look at games, of course, like Starfield or Spider-Man, hey, you take a multi-million investment, $100 million plus investment, but you're most likely to get at least a return of your investment. Some are more successful than others, obviously that's the case, but you can heavily plan for success in that field. It's very, very different in the field of games as a service titles. You've seen the most expensive developments, like The Avengers. Huge budget. The budget alone to get the IP rights for that was like insane, yeah? But it flopped. Look at Anthem. I mentioned that earlier, yeah? Huge AAA games as a service title, and it flopped. And then you have other games like the aforementioned Minecraft, yeah? One guy made that, yeah? And now it's the most successful game in the world. You look at even things like Grounded, yeah? Five Guys, passion project within an actual studio. They made that. And now look at the success of that game. 14 million players, yeah? Fortnite. Nobody expected that to be such a massive success. And suddenly it blew out of the sky. And of course, with the success, they invest heavily in those games. Fall Guys, look at that super small game. You can't plan the success of games as a service titles. You just have to hit a certain zeitgeist. You have to hit you have to hit that sweet spot where your game just goes viral and people just can't stop talking about it on the socials and so on. That's how the games as a service titles are being made a success. That's really a very different thing than when you look at regular single player or regular multiplayer games where okay, if I invest a certain amount of money, I know that my game at least will have a certain success if I put a proper marketing budget and proper visuals and proper, a production budget into it. This is, and that's the big problem of Sony right now. Obviously, the idea of Jimbo was to force games as a service titles into the market. But you can make all those 12 games with $100 million plus budget, and none of them will succeed. That's a very, very high chance. Only very few games as a service titles actually succeed in being successful. And the success usually isn't defined at launch. Like you said, almost none of these games launched as a success. There are exceptions that prove the rule.
Remember when Fortnite launched for the first time and it had the Save the World mode? That was originally what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And Save the World mode's gone. They discontinued Save the World mode. You can't even play it or buy it or anything now.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And the only way to make it a success was to make sure the Battle Royale worked. And then it just took off.
It took off.
Yeah.
PUBG. Yeah, look at that.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. How that became a massive success. So when I think this is the real problem. You can't force the success of games as a service titles. You can do that to some degree in single player games, and that's the problem of Sony's strategy now. And now they have laid out their production pipeline according to this, obviously. Yeah, those calls were made by Jimbo years ago. Yeah, 2, 3, 5 4 years ago, Jimbo made that decision. And the year 24, we know that in terms of single player games, looked very dry. No first party single player game, which is what makes Sony successful. Couple of games as a service titles in there. Same for 25. And now they delayed those kind of games for another 3 years. And I'm just remembering our discussion we had last week when also BitCloud confirmed that, and because we had a lot of reports on that as well, that most of those Sony studios were forced to do that. And I think that's the second big problem. Yeah, you can't force a creative process, which is game making. Yeah, look at the success of Fall Guys. That game, like in terms of production quality, it's a super cheap game. Simple visuals, not much, but they kind of nailed what makes a game a great game. It's just fun to play. And it's a creative process, yeah. I know there goes a lot of engineering as well into making great games, like in terms of technical prowess. But yeah, you can't force that. And I don't know if it would have been better to just pull the plug on half of those games as a service titles and let the studios actually do what they want to do, rather than delay them 3 years, because your pipeline will be empty anyway. Yeah. But with giving the studios the chance to do what they actually want to do, rather than riding along on that games as a service wish, which you simply cannot force into the market, I think that would have been probably the better strategy. But it's of course always to say, like, sitting here in my chair, being the podcast CEO, giving recommendations to a multi-billion-dollar company, but. At the end of the day, that's what it feels like. Yeah, they've delayed now half of their pipeline that nobody cared about, really, not even the PlayStation fans. And making the next 3 years even more empty. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We shall see how this all will turn out, man. We shall see. Anything you want to add before we move on?
No. I think, like I say, I think it all rests on. I think the in fact, it doesn't even. It doesn't even rest on the success of Sony supporting them. I think it rests, as you mentioned earlier, it needs to have a viral quality to the games, and I don't know if Sony studios have it in them to make a viral game.
Yeah.
I don't. I just don't. I don't think they've got it in them to make just a silly, fun game. If you have a look at Sea of Thieves, it's silly. Like it doesn't rely on graphics to be fun. It's got 35 million players. It doesn't rely on graphics. Like, it is a pretty game, but it's an entirely different art style. It doesn't rely on a story. What it relies on is you putting your imagination to the test of being a pirate, boarding other people, like having daft fights in the sea and firing yourself out of cannons and being like eating whole bananas and drinking too much and throwing up. Like, it's silly. It's a silly game, and that's what makes it viral. That's what streamers play. Essentially, what you need to do is make a game that all the streamers want to stream. That's what a games as a service.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point, because with these story-driven games, they're kind of hard to stream, because do you really want to watch a Last of Us in a stream where the game gets basically spoiled for you?
Yeah.
But it's very different if you stream a game like PUBG. Yeah. Or, I don't know, Fortnite or whatnot.
Or Call of Duty or anything like that. People just tune in and watch it. Like exactly. A Warzone, they want to see what happens in the final circle, or they want to find like what happens in this fight and the silliness that ensues, and like the finals, which came out, which had the beta the other day. Like, people love the destruction on that and they love the thing, but there's like, it needs a few more modes. But good job, it's a beta. You've got the time to make a couple of more modes before it releases. Like, but it has the basics, and I don't know whether or not Sony as a company have the ability in them to make a silly viral game.
Exactly my point. What I meant when I said let the studios do what they want to do, because
Yeah.
all those games as studios that Sony has were built, were nurtured by Sony over the years of over the last 10, 15, 20 years to make single player games, to make those epic stories, to make those cinematic experiences. And it just does not feel like they have that in them. Yeah, and Sea of Thieves or Grounded or even State of Decay 2. Yeah, when you look at on the Xbox side of things, the successful games as a service titles, they were all passion projects, all of them.
But they also, if you have a think of the studios that made them, and this is what I was talking about, I don't think Sony studios have it in them. The studios that made Sea of Thieves, Ray. Where did Ray stem? Fable. What was Fable? It was silly. It was funny. It had dark humor, British humor.
Rare was not Fable.
Ray? Yeah, what? It was.
No. Hang on. I should know that.
Playground Games is making it now, but Ray had Fable.
Lionhead Studios, sorry.
Oh, well, yeah. Lionhead / Ray. It was Ray.
I don't think so. But anyway, I get your point.
But yeah,
look at Banjo. Banjo is a Rare game. Yeah. They made games like Perfect Dark, but they also made Jet Force Gemini and games like that. Yeah, they always had those serious games. They had those quirky games that didn't take themselves too serious. The point is, Xbox didn't go to Rare. Exactly and Xbox didn't go to Rare and say, make us a great pirate games as a service title. Rare wanted to make that. And just today, a bunch of I saw a bunch of posts and videos of a Matt Booty interview. Yeah, and he actually said something similar, like. I have to paraphrase now. Of course, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he said, "We do not go to the studios and tell them what to do to make, so that they fill the gap that we need, but we really want to make sure that the studios are behind the games that they make." And if that means that we have a certain gap in our portfolio, we rather have that than to force something on a studio that they don't want to make. So, and yeah, that I think we gave Xbox our fair share of criticism about the gap that they had, and they had for far too long, no doubt. But it really is a difference in how to approach gaming. And Sony did that really well over the years of Sean Layden and the years before that. And that's when we got those great games that a lot of PlayStation fans, including myself, really enjoyed. That's when they made games like... obviously Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War 2018, Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, yeah. But those were not the days of Jimbo, and those days, it just feels like they are gone. And they've also announced that the CEO of Sony, the will actually be the interim CEO of PlayStation and Sony Interactive Entertainment, and that is starting from April 2024 for up to a year. So this entire ship that is Sony and PlayStation right now really is captainless, because that's like Satya Nadella taking over the Xbox division. I know Microsoft is a little bit a bigger company, but you know what I mean. That's really not good. You need someone in charge that is actually familiar with the gaming business and how to make games and what the community needs and wants and how we tick, how our community of awesome gamers just tick, and they didn't have that with Jim, and they don't have it now with the CFO being the interim, and after that the CEO of Sony being the interim for years. Then by that, if he takes over in April and stays for a year, we are talking years of really leaderless or non-existing leadership for the PlayStation brand. And I don't think it looks really good for their future. And we just can hope that they will be able to course correct this at some point. Yeah. But yeah, let's move on to some Xbox news. BlizzCon happened over the weekend, and we actually didn't have the chance to talk about it, obviously, because BlizzCon started right after our last podcast. And so to some, this might be old news, but I definitely wanted to talk to you about this. Phil Spencer obviously appeared at BlizzCon, which was kind of a little bit surprising for me. I know Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, and King are now part of Microsoft, but the deal literally just closed, and he's already on stage there, which is cool. And that he ensured everyone that they will nurture the essence of what has made Blizzard unique, and that Xbox will empower Blizzard. And Mike Ibarra also said that he feels like now Blizzard can actually be what they really want to be. He's super excited for that. They also did not announce their new survival game, which a lot of people were actually expecting to see, at least being teased there. But yeah, again, in about a month, we have the Game Awards. Everyone expects Microsoft to be there to some degree, at least. So we probably will see that game next year at the E3 showcase. But what they did do is they announced Diablo 4's first true expansion, the Vessel of Hatred, with a great cinematic. Obviously, they always have great cinematics. But the one thing I want to talk to you about before we move on, Blizzard also talked a little bit about bringing WoW, World of Warcraft, to consoles, and that they talk about that all the time. But now they are, and now I quote, "Of course we are talking about that. We are Microsoft now." So what do you think, man? Is WoW coming to consoles? Do you think it's a good idea? And will it be able to do something for Microsoft? Is this what Xbox console gamers really want to play? Where do you stand with WoW and consoles, man?
Yeah, well, I think it's not just. I don't even think. I think WoW will come to every console. I don't think it's just Xbox. It's a game that kind of requires that, which is why I didn't understand really why Final Fantasy 14 only ever went to PlayStation. Like, it's an MMO. You need you want as many players as physically possible, regardless how many servers you've got. You just want the players, and it's a recurring subscription, as is WoW. Now the good news is, and I've seen a lot of people that currently play WoW, and they've tried using a controller on PC with WoW, and they see actually the controller is pretty good. There's a few things that you still need to use extras for, but if you've got an Elite controller, for instance, where you can map things onto different angles, then it's going to feel pretty good to play WoW with a controller. So there's already kind of half of the issue kind of done there. Whereas, okay, how does it work with a controller? That's already working and up and running on PC. You can use a controller and it works pretty good. And that's natively as well. That's not a mod. You can natively use a controller on WoW PC. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to see it come to console just because, of course, it would give more people the chance to play it that don't have gaming PCs or anything like that. And like most
you don't
MMOs,
need a gaming PC, honestly.
No.
For WoW.
But you don't even need to have a subscription initially, because like most MMOs, you can go to a certain level to try the game out. You don't have to get all the add-on packs and things like that. However, being a Microsoft game now means that there's a good possibility you'll get either huge discounts on the add-on packs, or a lot of the add-ons will be included within Game Pass. You get discounts on the subscription or whatever it is. So be interesting to see what happens with it. But yeah, it's going to be cool to see it come to console, and I think it will. I think it'll probably take a couple of years, but it will come to console, and that will benefit, I think, everybody involved.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. I think the problem with WoW and a lot of these really long-running MMOs actually is that they are now hard to enter. And it really doesn't matter whether you look at, even if you look at games like Destiny, which were still designed as more casual MMOs, and Final Fantasy 14, of course, and even Elder Scrolls Online. If you're new to WoW in 2023, almost 20 years after the game came out, it is really, really hard to get into. And then console gamers are really not used to pay for a subscription for one single game. I know it has been done in the past, but Elder Scrolls Online removed that for that reason. Because it was simply not a success on consoles. So there's a lot to factor in here, and this is a difficult call to make. I think it costs a lot of money to bring that over. How would you handle, for instance, crossplay? Because that would definitely help your game on consoles, because your player base isn't there yet when you just launch it on Xbox. But then the controllers against the mouse and keyboards, and I mean, in WoW, the players have like shortcuts on all the keys, not like 3 or 4 or 5, but all of them, like 25 shortcuts on your keyboard. Player, do you enable crossplay? How do you handle that? This is a difficult game to port. It's easy to say for us, let's just bring it over there. But this is it costs a lot of money to not just port, but then support it on console. And the question really is, how would you monetize that? Would you include it in Game Pass? Which I still think would be a big move to do that on PC. Just convert all those World of Warcraft subscriptions into PC Game Pass subscriptions, it's gonna be interesting to see. But I think that they do something with WoW. I don't think that they will let WoW run just as it is, and whether those changes will come, or we will see those changes on PC by, like I said, for instance, including it into Game Pass, or if there will be actually console ports. I have no idea, but WoW is a difficult discussion to be had for console gamers. So, overall, BlizzCon. What are your thoughts? Good thing.
I mean, for me, it didn't really make much difference, but in terms of the content that a lot of Blizzard fans got, you've seen like the new expansion for Diablo. You saw the 3 expansions for World of Warcraft. But one of the downsides was the fact that StarCraft still had no mention. So people were quite upset about that. So I mean, overall, it was good, especially for World of Warcraft fans getting 3 expansions, and of course Diablo fans getting the announcement of the new expansion for that as well. So it's a new story expansion for Diablo where it picks up where it left off, and it focuses on who was it? They said the boss name as well.
Yeah, I can't remember too. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's called
focuses on
Vessel
the.
of Hatred, but I don't know the antagonist.
It's not Uber Lilith. It's something close to that though. But yes, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that next year. Enough time off of Diablo by that point to go back and play it a little bit more. But it depends on how packed 2024 is, because of course, if there's bunch of new games like we know there's going to be.
Oh yeah. Let us use that as a segue into the next topic. Rockstar melted the internet with a single tweet.
It wasn't even the main tweet.
It wasn't even a main tweet. It was a comment tweet under their own actual tweet, where they and this blew up like 70 million likes in the first 2 or 3 hours or so. Like insane. It obviously, and that was the announcement that GTA 6 is going to get a new trailer, or the reveal trailer, early in December. They didn't give a date. So, yeah. Could be at the Game Awards, but then I don't think so, because they don't need the Game Awards. Rockstar really does not need the Game Awards to get their trailer, give their trailer like hype. Yeah. So why would you bury that in all the other announcements and things that will come out? I don't think that it will be at the Game Awards. It will be either a couple of days before or after. But yeah, we know that this is going to melt literally the internet. And honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of 5, but I love GTA. And don't get me wrong, GTA 5 was a great game. I just thought that Vice City and 4, for me personally, GTA 4 just nailed it, you know? They are all great games though, and GTA 5 is one of the most successful video games ever made. It has been out for 10 years now, and we've seen all the pictures from people on the socials posting pictures of them being of them today and 10 years ago. So yeah, Dutch, I wanna know a lot of things. What do you expect from a GTA 6? Again, GTA 5, 10 years old, massive success. It has been in the top 10 of selling games for 8 years in a row or so. It's insane how many times that game got sold and the success of the game. And so, yeah, where do you think they will take GTA 6? What do you want to see from it? And I also want to know from everyone here in the chat, by the way. Let us know what you want from a new GTA.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because I love GTA 5, but I loved GTA 5 for... I love GTA 5 for the characters, and I personally think, regardless of who they have as the main characters on GTA 6, it's going to be hard for them to top.
You think they are going for those multiple characters again?
Yes. Yeah. It worked really well for them last time. And for me, it's going to be hard for them to top Trevor, because I thought Trevor was one of the funniest but lovable characters in GTA 5. And you loved, like, every time you switched back to him, he was in another, like, some random place. He just woke up with only underwear on, and he was like hijacking the cyclist's pedal bike, or like in a strip club somewhere, or like getting run over by a car. Like every time you took control of Trevor, something mad was happening. But he had such like funny, like on-screen, like presence all the way through it, and it was just such a great way to do it. And then you had the other two main characters as well, with Franklin and the other guy. and it just played really well. I don't know whether or not, and again, it's going to be hard. I just think it's going to be hard for them to match what the likes of Trevor brought to GTA 5 and do that again. Now, of course, they've got a track record of making really great GTAs, and they get progressively better as they go on. So history says it's going to be better. But we'll have to wait and see. For me, I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be one of those things where let's see what the main characters are like first. Let's see if I can like these main characters, because if it's like one character just moans all the time, but there's no real like comedic relief beside it, that's like a likable character.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It depends. It depends on how they work it. If you've just got some like boring main character, because we know they're going for, I think it's one male, one female character. I don't know whether or not it's any more than that, but it depends on how well they work together and who they've got doing the acting for those characters and the world that they build.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points. I mean, my main hope is that they actually deliver a great single player experience, and that they keep the online, which is inevitable, obviously, out of the main game. I don't want that. I want really a proper full-fledged single player experience from the next GTA, and I don't want to see microtransactions in the campaign and stuff like that. In terms of multiple characters, I want them to go back to a single character. I know it's very unlikely for that to happen after 5 being such a success with multiple characters. Just don't hope that they try to imitate, the Trevor and Franklin's. Create new characters that stand on their own. But we know Rockstar does not know how to make bad games. So it's just a fact. Yeah. And we can argue all day long about which GTA was the best, but they were all great, So I have no doubt that this is going to be an awesome looking game. If you look at the visuals of Red Dead Redemption 2 and what they achieved on last gen consoles with the last gen engine, and still to this date, and Red Dead 2 is now how old? Was that 2017 or 18 game? So 5-6 years old, and it is still breathtakingly beautiful. So GTA, I have zero doubt that they will nail the visual aspect. It's gonna be really, really impressive, and I think they will set again the bar for open world games. The level of detail that they put in their games, even with the last gen restrictions. We forget GTA 5 was a 360 PS3 game. Yeah, that's what the game was made for those consoles. And I have no doubt that they will outdo themselves in terms of detailed work. Animations will probably be insanely good, and there will be tons of details in there. I just loved the single character GTAs, because it made the character a lot more relatable. You're playing as those characters, and switching in between the multiple characters kind of prevented that. It was not like Trevor was the guy you wanted to be. You know what I mean? As like you said, he had fantastic moments. But yeah, I want that. And then I definitely want to see them improve like car and flying mechanics, because I always felt that is the one thing where GTA kind of fell short. I don't want it to be like an, sim thing. It doesn't have to feel like that.
Yeah.
And I also want to see, because that is actually what made GTA 4 so great. Like, they had already like kind of a fully destroyable and interactive city there, but obviously with certain hardware limitations. And I want to see that. I want to see like a full-fledged simulation of of not just physics of the city, buildings being destructible or whatnot, but I want like a believable simulation of the NPC world in that city. And I feel like if one company can do that, it's gonna be Rockstar. That's basically my wish list for that. By the way, Take-Two also had some comments on a couple of things, and Take-Two said that GTA 6 is completely protected from potential actor strikes, because that has been a thing. They are optimistic about reaching an agreement with the writer strikes and actor strikes, and that they are on good track for the whatever it is planned schedule. When do you expect GTA 6 to come out? Since they have the announcement now in December, what do you think? Is this going to be a 24 title?
Yeah, it could be holiday 24.
Yeah, I actually believe that it's actually not that far away, because Rockstar has never done that. They are not the kind of company that announces their games like years in advance.
Yeah.
So if they are confident now to come out and show us a trailer, I actually expect that game to be out within the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So it's probably not even going to be a holiday title. It's probably going to be like, they can launch GTA whenever they want, because they're going to sell that game for years to come.
Yeah, it's a game that doesn't need a market trend. It can regardless of when it sells, it'll sell.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think who will get the marketing rights? Because I've seen people discussing that as well.
It's a difficult one, this one, because these are some of the most expensive marketing rights, I would imagine, in gaming. And it depends on who needs it most. Now, realistically, Sony needs the marketing rights most, especially if it comes out next year, because they have nothing aside from Final Fantasy.
No, they don't. And it looks like they have a console coming. Yeah, they have the PS5 Pro coming next year.
I don't think so.
You don't think they are going to have the marketing rights?
No, not that. I don't think they've got a Pro coming next year.
Oh, they will. Come on, Tom Henderson has been spot on with his PlayStation leaks. He's got a really good.
He has, but with everything that's been going on at Sony recently, I can see them not pushing out a console next year. What they're gonna release it with?
I don't know. I don't think
exactly.
I don't think you see, Xbox has launched so many consoles without having games to go alongside.
Yeah, but Xbox has got its Game Pass portfolio. It doesn't need to.
They have the PS Plus portfolio,
and now they've got Call of Duty.
True, which will still be out on PlayStation.
It will, but they don't get the marketing rights anymore.
See, I don't think. I don't think that current plans or current things that happened in the last 6 months within Sony will in any way, shape, or form influence their decision to release a PlayStation console next year. Because by this time, if this console is real, which we all assume, this console... I
mean, they still don't have any leadership in place. Like,
they don't have a CEO, but they still have the rest of the senior leadership team.
I just don't. I don't know what. I don't know. They just don't seem like they're in sync with anything at the minute. I can't see them releasing the console next year with no games, no plan, no direction. Like, why would you release? Like, they've already released like 6,
Yeah, but
7
you're not gonna delay that
like bits of
console.
hardware this year.
That console is now already more or less finished in development. They are doing now
And even if you
chip
have a look at like
testing
the Slim now, the Slim just looks like a knockoff.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that, and I don't think that they will have anything to sell the PS5 Pro with it. But the console is more or less done in development right now. They are playtesting the chips right now. A year before a console comes out, all the hardware design and hardware development is done. It's testing now. It's getting production lines ready and stuff like that. So, and you're not gonna delay the console, especially since it's a mid-gen console, yeah, for another year and making it absolutely obsolete then, because then everyone will say, okay, I can just wait another 2 years and get the next gen console, the PS6. So that's not gonna happen. So they probably don't like it, but that they don't have like a
And I think
first party showcase piece launching along with it. But
I think additionally the issue they're going to have as well is after they've just like essentially they're canning a bunch of projects, they're pushing a bunch of projects back. They haven't got any first party, like they're having internal studio issues and problems, and then there's what would essentially be splashing $500 million or more to get the marketing rights for GTA. I think won't go down well with the internal studios. Like they'd be like,
I get that. On the other hand, showing off a game like GTA 6 on your brand new console really doesn't matter whether it's first party or not.
Whereas I think on the Xbox side of things, it's entirely different because Xbox now have a portfolio of Xbox console exclusives, and Call of Duty, and everything else that goes alongside it that they can now show off as their own and launch. And next year they're going to have Hellblade that they'll be wanting to push, and they're going to have Avowed that they'll be wanting to push, and then they'll have Call of Duty that next holiday period they'll be wanting to push on their marketing, and then they'll have any other first party games that jump out next year that they're going to be wanting to release. But with that said, GTA notoriously releases on console first and then PC, and then all the rest of them.
That is true.
So it would be a console get. If they did get the market into it, would be for console. So it would Xbox then go down the play of, okay, we're doing this marketing deal specifically for console, and then kind of just to kind of go, okay, this shows that we're still all in on console as well as everything else. Here's the marketing rights for GTA. Let's splash $500 million on marketing rights for it. Put it on our box and try and get some people in. Sell bunches of Series S's and Series X's, or the refreshed version of the Series X that will come out next year.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a big push for either side. Whoever gets those marketing rights, GTA is just juggernaut, you know.
Yeah. I think Sony needed more.
Yeah, they definitely needed more. The problem really is, do they have the funding for it?
Do they have the spare capital? Yeah, it's not just funding, because essentially at this point they're saying this is the development cost for the marketing rights for GTA. That's the development costs of 2 brand new IPs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do we want to sacrifice 2 brand new games, their entire development, or get the marketing for GTA?
Yeah. That's the harsh reality with this, and GTA being that big. So yeah, we shall see. I'm really looking forward to the GTA 6 trailer, and we will definitely talk about it again once we've all seen it. Again, I don't think it's gonna be at the Game Awards. It's gonna be either a couple of days before or after. So yeah, man, GTA 6 finally happening after all that time. That's Definitely something.
Hallelujah. It's eventually been
Hallelujah,
announced.
indeed. Hallelujah, indeed.
What's interesting to me is, and we'll find out very soon. Thankfully, we'll find out next month.
Yeah.
Is how they do the online aspect with the story.
Yeah.
There's been rumors where the story is going to be kind of built into the online. There's been rumors that it's going to be completely online. There's quite a few things that will be intrigued to see how they do this. Whether or not they stick to the here's traditional and GTA Online is getting a relaunch, a bit like a Fortnite, and of course the new GTA Online is going to be the new map, and then the old map's gone forever, or because of course there's going to be a lot of people on GTA Online that's going to lose a bunch of stuff that they've been saving up for years, lose all their apartments, lose all the cars, the money, all of the businesses, clothes, everything they've got, gone.
I don't think that they will tie the next GTA Online into the old one or so. I don't think that's what they're gonna do. What I could see them do, I don't hope they do it. I don't really hope they're not gonna do it. Is mix the campaign into the online. Yeah, make it more seamless. It's really what I don't want, but I could see them do that. Yeah.
I agree. I just don't know how they're going to do the online, because again, it's a case of they've already got such a big player base on the current GTA Online. So do they keep those servers running and just launch GTA Online 2 alongside it? And for those who want to continue to play the original GTA Online can do that, and those who want to jump over to the new one can start afresh and do that. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And are they going to take a bunch of content from the current GTA Online, like all the cars and the planes and the weapons and everything they've made for this living universe? Are they going to merge that into the new one, but just like give them a good lick of paint? Or are they going to just start from scratch and you've got the bare bones and then they start gradually adding things to it again? It's going to be interesting. I think personally we won't see the online aspect of GTA revealed anytime soon. I think they'll focus on the story part. They'll show the trailer off for the single player game or the single player aspect of GTA 6. And maybe next year we'll see them do a reveal trailer for the next GTA Online iteration.
Yeah. So we shall see it. We will find out soon enough. It's only a month away. So yeah. We will see, man. Let us move on to some Xbox news, actually, that made big headlines this week and stirred up quite the discussion in the community. And that is the fact that Xbox announced a partnership with InWorld to build AI game dialogue and narrative tools at scale. They said, together we aim to deliver an accessible, responsible design, multi-platform AI toolset. And with that, they kicked off an entire discussion about AI and game development, and a lot of pros and cons were shared on the socials. And before I give my thoughts, I want to hear, of course, your thoughts, man, on this. Some people made it out to be like, okay, a lot of developers gonna use the job, games gonna be very generic, and so on. So where do you stand with this?
Yeah, it's been a typical case this week and it's surprising to see the developers do this as well. It's been a surprising case this week of people speaking before they've educated themselves on the article that's been released and what has been said. A lot of people saw AI and narrative and they just went, nope, not doing it. Anybody who uses AI tools to do this. Okay, so all the developers stop using DLSS because that's AI.
Yeah.
Stop using all your AI integrated tools that you use for all of your development cycles. Stop it. Because those are the things that you should be doing yourself that you're not doing. Wrong. No, AI has been there to enhance your job. It has been since day one. It depends on what level of AI that is causing the issue. Now, all that this is doing, this integration, is to aid the developers that are there. They've said it themselves. These are tools that we're building, AI tools that we're building to aid in narrative creation, to aid in the AI kind of the way that AI behaves in games, etc. It's a tool to aid the developers create more lifelike worlds. Not to take over the jobs of the developers. These are things that are going to enhance the development tools that they've already got, that they're trying to make so that these worlds become more lifelike, so that these AI are a little bit more iterative. So they could, for instance, these developers could program the AI to have essentially an infinite amount of dialogue that they could say.
Yeah.
And all you would have to do is, and this is how AI works, you could go, okay, I've got a voice actor. Now, instead of this voice actor doing literally a billion lines for an infinite amount of possibilities of what we could say on screen, which would take them decades to go through and run through. What we need you to do as a voice actor, if you want to be in this game, is we need to give you a significant amount of kind of samples of how you would say things, your facial expressions and things like that. And then this AI tool will allow us to then create the dialogue using your voice acting, and they would be able to essentially be a fluid dialogue system where the AI can literally say what it wants to say about any given subject. You could throw something at them and they'd react in a more realistic way, and they would say something more realistic, or be able to have a realistic conversation with you that actor has technically provided through in-depth voice recording.
Yeah.
And it's not just a case of just recording a couple of lines either when you're talking about this AI manipulation of voice acting. It's a case of they have to go through a significant amount of things in the way they say things and how they pronounce things and the expressions that they give. And AI has to learn that over time. So it's not a tool that's going to be like immediately utilized or mastered. It's going to take a while for these things to take control. And we've seen it even in the finals. You saw they used AI commentators, and it didn't really do a great job. It was okay, but it didn't do a great job. It was kind of like they kind of lacked expression in certain things, or they like said something and it was like really like the expression was in the wrong place, or like they got really hyped in one section when they shouldn't, and then the other guy was really low and just like kind of flat. It'll take some work. It's not going to be something that's going to be there overnight, but it's not to replace the developers. It's there as an aid tool for development. And there's no, like, Microsoft is just doing this to provide extra tools for the people that are in development. They're not saying every studio under Microsoft has to use AI tools in order to create games. They're not doing that. They're partnering to make more tools for developers to make their games more realistic, to aid them make better games. So, I mean, if you're given more things to help you do your job better, that's always a good thing. It's not something to help you take over your job. Without a person at the end of that, regardless of what happens, that's not going to work. Like the AI can't just automatically create a game. You're still going to need a developer on the back end of it. And likewise, the AI is not just going to be able to magically create narrative that makes sense. We've seen some of the things that AI can generate in terms of ChatGPT and things like that. And it reads okay, but then you can tell it's been written by AI. It doesn't have flair or touch or like certain things that certain people would say, or accents. Like AI doesn't understand accent at all. Like it needs a lot of integration for that. So you couldn't go into it and have like a ye old English accent AI, because they would go like far too far to the left, and it'd be like stereotypical ye old English. It would be like not like nuanced. And I don't think that's what AI doesn't have, is nuance. So it's not a case of it's going to take over anybody's job overnight, because I think it's a lot more detailed than that. It's just a tool to aid development, and I think a lot of people have jumped off the deep end here and overreacted to the news and not really paid attention to what was said or what the benefits are here.
Yeah,
and Microsoft aren't again. Microsoft and Xbox are not forcing all developers to use these tools. All they're doing is just getting these tools available so that any developer that is under their umbrella can use them if they want to use them. They're not going, you need to use these AI tools. Everybody's using these from now on. This is how you create storylines and AI characters. They're not doing that. I think so. I think people are just jumping the gun and really overreacting on this, to be honest. I think it's anything that's going to benefit the studios to make better games is a good thing, as long as it doesn't jeopardize the livelihoods. And I don't think anything in the press release about this company or what they're aiming to do with Microsoft or vice versa states that it's going to be there as a tool that takes over something. If it's there as an aid, no more. It's going to be a tool that aids developers, not development.
So, yeah, you bring up a lot of points. I think this is a very difficult discussion because there are multiple layers to this, and it's really going to depend on how AI is used. I mean, at the end of the day, it's inevitable that AI will be used more than it's already is being used, because AI is already being used in game development. It's really not that new. In different ways. If you think about a game like Starfield, we have procedural generation of planets right there. So not all the 1,000 planets of Starfield are being handcrafted. Your Earth looks different than mine. All those planets have certain parts that are handcrafted, like the main cities, for instance, Aquila City and Neon and so on. And then you have procedurally generated planets. We have those things already in our games. And if you think about the massive open world games, not every of those trees you see in an open world, I don't know, Ubisoft games or so, are handcrafted. There are already tools to create those things quickly. And of course, this has the potential to be even used further in a lot of ways. Whether it being actually creating certain assets, and AI can really quickly like generate 1,000 different textures, stone textures or so. And it makes it has the potential to make the gaming worlds a lot more diverse. AI could also be used, like you said. There is a Skyrim mod, already out there. I've seen a video where an NPC was modded in there that is solely based on AI, and you could actually talk to that character, and the AI was reacting to you, to create a background story for you or her, and so on. So there is a lot of potential there. Yes, that's really true. And it could make a lot of those, especially when you think about open world games, a lot of those boring side quests or boring NPC conversations that we sometimes have in games, a lot more interesting, because an AI can react a lot better than anything you script to what you actually do, and make games more unpredictable, more lifelike. There's tons of stuff you could do with AI. Playtesting comes to mind. Today you have hundreds, if not thousands, of playtesters playing Call of Duty to break it, and trying to find the bugs, and a lot of that could be done, of course, by AIs, and you can get like an 80% of the bugs out via AI, and only need a reduced staff here of playtesters. And that's where the other part comes in. There's a social aspect to this. There's a reason why a lot of governments and regulators are looking into regulations and laws and ethics of the usage of AI. And like with every tool in any in any industry, people were scared that everyone goes unemployed when the steam machine was invented. Yeah, it's like it's always a factor. Yeah, technology advances. It has advanced for thousands of years, and it makes certain jobs redundant. It will create other jobs. But of course, there is this aspect we have to consider. Yeah, do you need as many playtesters? Those are people that will lose their job, and they have families to feed. And the writers, you don't need hundreds of writers. You can write games with significantly less people. Yeah, you have artists that create these the things in games, the assets in games, and you don't need as many anymore. It is a real thing, and we've seen AI changing a lot in other industries. If you think about graphics design, a lot of graphics designers are going unemployed these days because, it is so simple to create simple things. Yeah, you can go online and use ChatGPT or Bing AI or whatnot, and say, "Hey Bing, create me a new logo for the world of gaming," and bam, there it is. This is a real thing. The question on will it make certain jobs in the, not all, but definitely quite a few, redundant in the game industry. On the other hand, it has the potential. We were talking a lot about games being delayed, games taking 5, 6, 7 plus years to make these days. And obviously we've seen tons of layoffs in the industries, especially this year, because companies are just, at the very end of the day, capitalistic institutions that want to maximize their revenue, and this is a thing. AAA game development becomes less profitable with these significantly increased development times. So it's only natural that studios and publishers are looking into ways in how to reduce the cost. And one major cost is not just labor cost per se, but of course time. When we always say just delay the game, that is not always an option for a lot of companies. Because every month you develop a game, you have to pay salaries, you have to pay for the equipment, for everything. It's like, so this is where the danger comes in of the thing with AI in game development. I don't see. I hope that there will be games that will probably just turn out to be very generic because everything has been done by an AI. And I don't think, and this touches on one of the things you said, that an AI will ever be able to, well, I don't want to say ever, but will be able in the next 5 to 10 to 20 years to create the exact same experiences than a human can, because AI doesn't understand pacing. They don't understand climatic points in storytelling. We talked earlier in the show about Mass Effect being an absolutely insane game because it had great pacing. It had those pinnacle moments, those touches that just made you immersed in the world and being able to relate to certain characters and to certain background.
They don't also, like, AI doesn't also understand the unpredictability of humans.
Yes. Yeah, and of course I want that in at the very end of the day, I consider games to be art. And the great game, a great game is an art piece, and it lives and breathes the soul and the passion and that the game development teams bring into that product, into that piece of software. And I don't see that an AI will ever be able to achieve that same thing, where you really, like, if you think about the best games you have played, yeah, they stuck with you because they had something and special. And I don't think an AI will be able to do that, but of course it can be used in certain ways, in certain areas, as an enhancement tool for game development, just as it is being used already, just even in a more significant way. So there are chances and there are downsides of it. The problem, of course, is this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is the biggest entertainment format in the world. There is a shitload of money to be made, and whenever that is the fact, companies are companies. They are not your friend, and they are not the friends of their employees at the very end of the day. And we've seen it this year, especially with so many publishers and studios laying off people, being shut down because they were not profitable anymore, and so on. And companies will, at the end of the day, react or behave like that. And that is a real threat to a lot of jobs. So I'm not against AI in games at all, in game development, not at all. But I do, and I don't think that there's any way that if a tool is out there in this world, a company will not use it to their advantage. And AI is out there. And at the very end of the day, it is like with everything. When robotics were invented, everyone was scared to lose their job because everyone thought that we will never ever need an assembly line for any kind of product or something like that. I think something similar will happen here. It's not that you don't need game developers at all, but it will inevitably affect certain people, and but it is also a chance. It is a chance to have more lifelike worlds, to have characters that behave differently than we are used to, the very scripted and predictable way that we have today. There's also a lot of chances when you think about physics, when you think in games. There's also a great chance of worlds not feeling repetitive because game developers had to fill this huge gigantic open world map with stuff, and they ran out of ideas and then just copy pasted the things. There are definitely chances in how you can use an AI to enhance a gaming experience. So I'm really not against it. I just see the social aspect of it as well. And so it will be interesting to see how this will turn out, what kind of tools they will come up with, and how AI is actually going to be implemented in either games or in the game development tools. It can be both ways. So anything you wanted to add?
No, I think we've covered it quite well.
All right. So let us move on then. And I actually wanted to talk to you about Warner Brother games. The other day, Warner Brother games, and this touches upon the discussion we had earlier about games as a service titles when we talked about Sony and them delaying all those games as a service titles. Warner Brothers said that they are focused on transforming their biggest franchises into service games. They want to generate, obviously, a greater post-purchase revenue, and that this is their overall business strategy to transform basically every game they have or every IP they have into a games as a service title. So, when you have listened to us earlier, I think it's obvious what we think about games as a service titles, and them having some of the most amazing IPs out there. Yeah,
they've literally just released one of the most successful games this year. I think it's only the second most successful game this year is Hogwarts.
I think it was the most successful one.
It might still be, yeah. Sales-wise, over 20-odd million, if not 30 million.
We shall see if Call of Duty will dethrone.
Oh, Call of Duty will, yeah. Call of Duty, poof, straight through. Yeah, but in terms Hogwarts, of single-player games, yeah.
Definitely best-selling game of a massive success, absolutely massive success, and even if you think about the Arkham games that they have released, they were all commercially super successful, yeah, and they have seen the backlash on Suicide Squad being games as a service title, because that was the biggest criticism, and that game obviously was really not well received when they have shown it for the first time, even though we too really enjoyed actually what we've seen, not the games as a service aspect, but the gameplay looked fun. But yeah, it looks like they are going full-fledged games as a service thing for every IP. That's what they said. Dutch, let me hear your thoughts. What do you think about this?
Why? Why? I don't understand. I don't understand how they come to this conclusion after releasing one of the biggest single-player game this year, shipping over like 25 million copies.
Yeah.
And then deciding, well, that was good, but we're going to turn everything into games as a service instead. Well, why? Is it because that did so well? You think that can do better as a games as a service game and make you more money?
Obviously, otherwise you wouldn't make that decision. Is this
hierarchy? Yeah, it's like this hierarchy. Don't understand that that's not a direct correlation. Just because it works as a single player game does not mean it's going to work as a games as a service game. But it also doesn't mean that a games as a service game will be successful. We've just spoke about with Sony. You have to have the teams that can make something that's viral. If the game isn't viral, it is not going to be a success.
Yeah.
No matter what you do for that game, if it isn't viral and it doesn't have viral capabilities in its online function and its gameplay and the fun factor on stream and the silliness, it's never going to work as a games as a service game.
I totally agree. The thing is, I think Warner Brothers and a lot of other publishers these days, they just look at the very, very, very few super successful games as a service titles, the Fortnites, the Warzones, and they say just, we want that. We want our own Fortnite. We want that game that gamers come back for years and invest tons of shitloads of money into microtransactions and DLC things, and this is obviously the thinking behind this. Yeah, we want our Fortnite, and that's the thing. We touched on this earlier, like you said. You can't force the success of a games as a service title. Obviously, a game where you print on the cover Batman, or a game where you print on the cover Harry Potter, will draw people towards it. This will absolutely help your sales, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, having popular pop culture IPs as on the cover helps, but that it does not help to let people stay in the game. I think Avengers has proven that. Yeah, Avengers, like the Marvel, especially the core Marvel IPs, you know, the Iron Mans and the Hulks and and so on, Captain America and so the what I like to call the core Marvel IP. They had them all in that game, and it still did not help at all. It helped the initial sales at launch, just like with every single player game. But it did not help to make people stay. And even supporting the game, because they did support the Avengers. They did that for a good amount of time. They did provide content and they did provide updates and everything. Did not help because they didn't have that, like you said, the viral aspect of it. Yeah. And this is the problem, obviously. And it kind of sucks because if I said earlier, Mass Effect being one of the best trilogies in gaming ever made. The Arkham trilogy as well. Like, I truly believe, even though the third one was little, Arkham Knight was not the best, it was still an amazing game. Yeah. But especially Arkham City, I consider that to be one of the best games ever made, period. And Asylum, giving me goosebumps if I just think about it. And those kind of games shall be turned into games as a service titles. Hogwarts Legacy, your game of the year, definitely in my top 3 this year. Yeah. Fantastic single player experience from start to finish. Games as a service now. Even Suicide Squad. I have no interest. I have zero interest in the games as a service aspect of that game. I want to see the story. I will play through the story and then be done with it. Just like I played Anthem. I enjoyed Anthem. I truly did. I think it had great gameplay mechanics, finished the campaign, never came back. And it's also, I think, way too late for Warner Brothers to get into that market. Because people are not invested in 10 plus games as a service titles. You might have your one go-to game. Yeah, if you're a Fortnite fan, you play that. But you don't play Warzone in addition and all those others. You have that one game where you invest your money in and your time in and your passion in, and you build your community around that, and you have your friends playing with you in that game. Yeah, we don't play 10 different games as service titles continuously over years. Not, and the market is already saturated. And I think the peak of games as a service titles is already declining. Yeah. This year, last year, if you look at the most successful games of the year, none of them were the games as a service titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the Elden Rings, and it's the Harry Potters, and games like that are the the most successful games. So yeah, I don't know what Warner Brothers is thinking. Gambling with some of the best IPs you can have. Again, having DC, having Harry Potter is huge. Yeah, leverage it. Don't release a Batman game every. What is Arkham Knight 2015 now? Yeah. You use those IPs, but don't force games as a service in there. It's just not gonna work. It never has. It never will. All right, let's get to something more positive and exciting.
Okay.
All right. We have a new Xbox game studio head.
We do?
Yeah. The former Forza boss, the studio head of Turn 10, Alan Hartman, has been promoted to head of Xbox Game Studios. So he basically takes the role of Matt Booty, who is now vice president of games at Microsoft, and Matt Booty oversees not just the Xbox game studios but Bethesda, and I think they will add Activision Blizzard King, or at least Activision to that as well after Bobby Kotick is out. They might, I don't know how they will structure it, but since they still have the head of Bethesda. Can't remember his name from the top of my head. They still have, obviously now, an head of Xbox Game Studios. They will have the head of Blizzard, will probably remain Ibarra, Mike Ibarra, and whoever was gonna take the chair of Bobby Kotick. And they will all report to Matt, in between Matt and Phil then. So yeah, Bethesda is under Matt now, and the game studios, and the actual head of the 15 core Xbox game studios is now under Alan Hartman, the head of Turn 10 Studios. What do you think about this man? The right man for the position?
Yeah, I think if you, the way that you've got to have a look at the way that they've managed the technical aspect of the studio and what they've managed to achieve from a technical ground point. Like Forza Motorsport, Forza Tech, the studio itself, it's well run. The games always run flawlessly. They're always very well optimized. The studio's never had any issues. You've never had complaints from the developers that have worked there. Like in terms of how that studio is ran and the job that they've done as leads of Forza over the years, you can't have any complaints. So, in terms of the leadership skills that they're looking for, he's probably up there with the person they want in charge of that. And of course, that goes alongside other leadership changes, such as Sarah Bond moving up, and like you say, Matt Booty moving across, and all of that. So I think Alan Hartman's good for the job. To be fair, it's a good position, and congratulations to him. It's interesting. It's an interesting move. You wouldn't think the lead or the studio head for Turn 10, which is a racing, specifically a racing franchise, would take over essentially all of them.
True that. Although we have to say, for many years, too many years,
Mm-hmm.
3 brands have been carrying Xbox, and it was Gears, Forza, and Halo. And Gears for a long time didn't even belong really to the Xbox Game Studio roster, and Halo, obviously, with Bungie, also not, and Forza has always been a true Xbox first party, studio. They have been in Turn 10 has been in the core Xbox roster more or less from the beginning, and so he knows the organization. He knows how they think, how they work, and like you said, he has managed the studio very well for many years without ever having anything come up, at least publicly come up, about workforce being treated poorly or stuff like that. They have worked like a clockwork, releasing a new Forza every other year. They have obviously technical prowess, having a very good engine that is used in Forza, in the Horizon series as well, and now even making the transition over to a third-party action RPG. Not third-party, third-person action RPG in Fable. Yeah. So yeah, he has obviously shown management and leadership skills there. And also I think what is good that they actually still have that position at all, because they could have easily said, okay, Matt Booty is now not just overseeing the Xbox Game Studios, but also Bethesda, and be done with it. But we have seen this, and we've complained about this, that Xbox had a management problem in how to handle the studios. And I think having like this extra position of Matt Booty on top, and then still have the head of quote unquote smaller organizations like the Xbox Game Studios and the head of Bethesda and so on, really will help them steer those studios, not by in the way that they will tell the studios what to do. They've been very clear so far, and none of the studios has ever said anything remotely that makes us doubt this intention, that they will let the studios be creative, give them the freedom to do what they want to do, but to make, to enable, to empower the studios in the right way, give them the proper funding, proper time, proper connections in between the studios to gain benefits. And I think that Alan can be the right person to do that, because he has been with the organization so long and he knows how to handle a good working studio. So, yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. It's a very well optimized. Again, it's a very well optimized studio, top to bottom. They've never set a foot wrong.
Yeah.
Everything's always worked as it should do. It's always released when it should. Well, apart from this Forza, which just took a little
years.
bit of took longer, but that was an intentional thing. And then, of course, it also had a minor delay this year. But that's the first time, and I think in their history where that's been the case.
Yeah.
So, but even then, it launched. Everything works as should. It's a great racing game. Technically tremendous again, and again the studio just works really well.
Yeah, they do. Indeed, they do. So, yeah, we wish him all the best for this new task. And
yes,
yeah, man, Xbox is so big now with
huge.
ABK and all the things. It's good that they try to establish proper management positions there. So, because this is a mammoth task to handle all those studios, to align them on a technical level, to align them in a creative level, to align them to release or provide a proper pipeline. And Phil and Matt Booty both were very clear over the last 2 weeks that they are super confident to be able to release that promised AAA game every quarter with smaller releases in between. And of course, looking at 2024, we know that Era and Towerborn are announced. I wouldn't consider both of them a AAA release, so they don't fall into that window. We know about Avowed and we know about Hellblade. So 2 others should be good to go next year.
The only thing I'm wondering about next year is whether or not they class. No, actually, they've already said that they don't class Flight Sim 2024 as a new game.
Yeah,
even though it is a new game.
I don't think that they even though it is looks like a the best looking game ever, but
even though it does look technically unbelievable, they don't even internally class that as a new
highly anticipated major AAA blockbuster game. That's not what Flight Sim is. Yeah, and Avowed is that, and then Hellblade is that, and I still think it could be Indiana Jones, because the way how Todd talked about that, we don't know.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, and
I hope it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Clockwork could be one of those those games. Yeah, they touted that as the first real AAA in Exile game. Yeah. I don't even know if South of Midnight would fall into that. I'm not sure if they would consider that a highly anticipated
Oh,
AAA
I mean,
blockbuster.
I'm highly anticipating it, and it's definitely a
I'm not
AAA
saying
game.
I'm highly anticipating
Yeah.
Towerborn. I
Yeah.
loved what I played, and I can't wait for it. But I don't consider it to be the highly anticipated AAA game. That's the thing. Generally speaking, doesn't take away from my excitement. Yeah, but so yeah, they have that. We know in the leaks a couple of weeks ago, we basically learned about the entire Bethesda roadmap, and we know that Doom is getting a new entry, which is probably going to be a 25 title, and Fable then in 25. I don't think that Fable is a 24 game. But who knows? Who knows? It is insane what
I mean, imagine a year where they release Fable, Avowed, and Hellblade, and potentially something else in the same year. Like
Yeah.
Fable, Avowed, and Hellblade. That is a big year. That is like probably one of the biggest years in Xbox history if they release them three in one go.
I agree. And yeah, it really does look like they are going to be able to do that. I mean, Call of Duty is definitely one of those AAA games that they're gonna release next year.
But would they class that as?
Yeah, they
would
would.
they?
They would. Absolutely. There's no way you wouldn't class Call of Duty for.
No, but I mean, would they class it as one of their four, or would they just say no? That's a given.
No,
that's a given. That's an additional to the four that we're going to release.
No,
because I think personally,
they will count that. They will count that.
I personally think that'll be Call of Duty. It's going to release because I think Call of Duty anyway, and I stand by that. I think Call of Duty will go to a biannual where it'll be every 2 years as opposed to every year, and they'll have Warzone propped up in between. But I personally think, because they were talking about 4 a year before Call of Duty, they were talking about 4 a year before the Activision merger was announced 2 years ago. Like they were talking about releasing this 4 a year cadence before that. So I personally think it's going to be 4 a year plus Call of Duty.
I hope you are right. I truly hope.
And the reason I say that is because I think they're more getting along the lines of 4 exclusive first-party titles that are Xbox, singularly Xbox.
Yeah,
not everything.
You bring up a good point. The way how they always phrased it is very vague in that way. Is it first party or is it first party exclusive? So ecosystem exclusive. In that case, obviously they wouldn't be able to count a Call of Duty, but I don't think that they would leave that out of the count. Be that as it may, whether it's we know about on Hellblade plus Call of Duty, and whether we get 1 or 2 additional major releases next year, it's still going to be an insanely good year, and the year after, and even the year after that. There's still the question about when we will see Gears,
Yeah.
And some of those IPs. It's crazy. The pipeline that they have is simply nuts.
It's huge.
It's huge. Really, really is.
I mean, you bring up a good point about indie though, and even again Fable. Like in indie, Fable, Avowed, Hellblade. Like
yeah,
like what a year that would be.
That would be
and then insane. You add Call of Duty, and then you add Stalker 2, and then you add Towerborn and Aura and Flight Sim. Whew. That, Jesus, wept what a year that would be.
Absolutely. And there's still some third-party exclusives.
And of course, outside of that, Final Fantasy 14, 100 Heroes.
Yes.
Like, potentially, you never know with the other Final Fantasies what will happen with them.
This is true. That is really true. And we will get a lot of Activision Blizzard drops next year as well. Then what's that heist game? Contraband. It's long overdue to be released. I could see that launching next year as well, and we know that that's a platform exclusive as well. It's crazy what there is, and even if one or two of those will be delayed, which is inevitable. That.
And it could even be delayed by choice, just to go into with a cadence. If they've got too many next year, they'll just go like, right, we said 4, we want 4, we don't want more than that because then it gets crowded a lot. If you think about on top of all the third party stuff, so we're going to intentionally give you guys another 6 months. We're going to intentionally give you guys another year.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well, and it's really, we have State of Decay 3. No idea where that will land. I mean, it's been a long time in development already.
Yeah.
I
can see news on that one next E3. I can see news on State of Decay 3 next E3. And I think that could be one of those games where, with it being, because we know it's the first time they've done a AAA State of Decay 3. They potentially could give them, I think they would get the extra time to get the content right for that game. Having seen what they're capable of doing with the revamp of State of Decay 2 and the content layout that they've had since launch, it's been insane. Giving them the extra time to make sure that this, on their first AAA outing, has the content, the technical nuance, and the graphics that they want for it. I think I can see that being one of the games that is given the breathing room to get right first. Whereas I think everything else, again, because everything else is so big and so right in your face, like your Fables and your Hellblades and your Avoweds and these big titles and your Clockwork and Perfect Darks and things like that. Like, all of them ones are really taking center stage. And every now and again, someone will go, what about State of Decay? I think that one's just being given the breathing room. They're just like, yeah, you just get on with it. And like, your team's clearly done a lot of work on State of Decay 2. We know the rest of the team's hard at work on the third one. So just get it right.
Yeah.
Just take your time and get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you have your Perfect Dark, which is also, the studio was founded in 2018. So 5 years already in development. Now, Crystal Dynamics has been working for almost 2 years on the game as well. We have no idea when that will land, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a 24 title, but 25 I could definitely see for that as well. So yeah, man. Then we know Double Fine is working on something new. Again, Gears, 24, 25, I would say. I don't think 24. It's probably more 25 title. But yeah, this is just crazy. Yeah. If you think about it, and that
massive.
And we haven't even touched on all the things that could potentially then eventually come out of ABK, right? We only mentioned Bethesda and the core Xbox studios, and we are not considering new acquisitions that could also happen within the next year or two. So this is insane, man. This is insane. But Dutch, we are 2.5 hours already into the show, and we have a ton of community questions to cover this week. So yeah, let us move to some of the community questions, because each and every Wednesday you guys can write in on Twitter, on YouTube, on Xbox, PlayStation, or the Discord, to send in your questions. And the first of the day comes from Ambitious 123. And actually, he wrote in German, so I have to translate it loosely. Hey guys, great show. Are you having any sort of ritual or preparation work that you do for the podcast?
Nope.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. We literally meet 5 minutes in advance to the podcast. We complain about work for 5 minutes, and then we go on the show.
Then we go live. Yeah.
It's basically the prep work. Obviously, in advance, we put together things like the thumbnail, and I usually collect throughout the week the topics. I have a little OneNote list there where I copy in the most important news items, and then we just go through them.
I've got a couple of little news items for you actually right now.
Yeah?
Do you know Steam have launched the Steam Deck OLED?
The OLED, yeah, I've seen that earlier. I thought
also
I had it as a maybe
Steam Deck
topic.
2 is in the works.
Yes, the Steam. I mean, that's no surprise. The Steam Deck was a massive success. That there will be eventually a successor. I'm surprised about them doing the update with an OLED screen and a little bigger battery life, and I know that the screen is going to look gorgeous. Obviously, it will be able to achieve 1000 nit, which is quite a lot on a handheld.
And the original OLEDs took a price drop to $349.
Yeah.
Sorry, the original Steam Deck.
That's the thing. On the other hand, there are simply better handhelds already out there. So
yeah,
I don't know how many people will actually upgrade their existing Steam Deck, especially knowing that within 2 years or so, they will get a Steam Deck 2 just for a nicer screen. Because if you really want to upgrade and invest, you probably got to do that in the Lenovo or the ROG Ally. And I can't speak for the Lenovo. I haven't touched the Lenovo yet. But I do have the ROG Ally, and that screen is drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, so this one is, just to kind of give you the details, it's a 7.4-inch HDR OLED display. They've upgraded the Wi-Fi. Oh, sorry, they've updated the chip to a 6 nanometer. They've updated the Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi 6E from Wi-Fi 5. They've upgraded the battery from 40 watt hour to 50 watt hour. So it goes between 3 and 12 hours as opposed to 2 and 8. And other than that, it's just standard. But yeah, so a slightly larger screen, so 7.4 inch, so an extra half an inch.
Yeah.
HDR OLED display, and then everything else is normal. The standard version now is 512 as opposed to 256. So it's 512 or 1 terabit. Starting at 479.
Yeah. I mean, it is still I don't want to say that in a negative way, but I can't come up with a better phrasing. The budget version of the handhelds out there, Yeah. If you compare the price of the Ally or Lenovo, although the Ally is getting some significant price drops now with Black Friday, some of the deals have already leaked. It's going to be awesome. Surf in the chat asks actually about the Ally and how the thumbsticks are. They are amazing, like literally incredible. I have not seen anyone complain about stick drift, so that's not an issue. And the tension in the sticks feel really, really good. And the best thing about it is, if you don't like it, you can adjust it. So you can, starting from dead zones that you can calibrate yourself if you want to. In the Ally suit, they have the Armory crate, how they call it. Is a suit that allows you to adjust basically everything. Yeah, from the triggers to thumbsticks, tension, dead zones, and whatnot. You can really adjust it, and I love that feature. And I wouldn't have thought that I would use it. You can map that to different games. So you can have a different dead zone in a shooter than in your action adventure, and then the next game, and you can easily bring up a quick menu to select bam, bam, bam. I'm playing this now, and then it switches to your configuration that you have configured for that game, and it really, really is good. I love my Ally. I think it's a fantastic device. It's the handheld to have. I think the biggest advantage, or there are two major advantages, of course, besides it being more powerful than the Steam Deck, is of course that you don't have to jailbreak it to use anything else other than Steam on it. Yeah, because obviously the Steam Deck runs Steam, period. And yes, there are certain ways to get the PC Game Pass on the Steam Deck, but it's you have to jailbreak it, and I think that's one of the major advantages. And then it just in general it looks and feels just better. The screen is incredibly better. I'm not talking about the OLED now but it still has a higher resolution. It has 120 hertz display, 1080p. It looks, which is more than enough resolution on the for the size of the screen. The speakers are incredible. It's like you can't imagine how good the sound is of those speakers. Like, they have two active blasters in that system to generate real surround sound, and if you play that, you have truly the Atmos feeling. Yeah, you can locate everything behind you, above you. It is insane. The other day I was playing Hellblade. I wanted to see Hellblade on that because I still think that Hellblade has the best sound design I've ever heard in any game. And you don't even have to put on headphones to get that, those voices. It's insanely good. My only real criticism with it is that is the battery life. That is a downer. And it's not just the battery life per se, which, depending on the game you play, is in between an hour and 1.5 hours. I wouldn't be bothered too much, because then if you're really on the go, you just use a battery pack. The problem is you can't use every battery power bank. You have to have a power bank that at least supports charging of 65 watts. And those only do the very high-end power banks. So I actually had to buy another power bank, which set me back another $100. You can't use every regular charger as well. You can't use your phone charger. It does not have enough juice. 65 watts USB-C power adapter. You don't have that on your phone or most USB-C devices. So this is the one thing that I don't understand, that you really require that to charge your device. But other than that, I'm absolutely in love with the Ally. It's a fantastic handheld. It actually brought me to a big dilemma.
Okay.
What's
the dilemma?
I want to call that the third-party problem. What do I mean by that? Where do I buy my third-party games? With first-party Xbox games, I don't have a problem, because I can go back and forth between the Ally and my Xbox console. No problem. Play anywhere. Bam, problem solved. Yeah. Pick up Starfield on the Ally, continue on the console, go back to the Ally. No problem. But what do I do with my third-party games? Yeah, the Alan Wake, Cyberpunk, yeah, those games that I'm playing right now. Where do I buy them? Because if I buy them on the Xbox console, I can only play it on the Xbox console. If I buy it on PC, on Steam or whatnot, yeah, or Epic, nobody buys games on Epic, the store, but I could, I buy the game on PC, then I can take it with me on the Ally. And I'm a console gamer. I have a beefy PC. I have a 3080. I know it's not the latest, but it's still it is still a pretty good GPU, much better than everything we have in the consoles. And I still prefer to play on the consoles simply for convenience. But now I'm tempted more and more to actually buy my third-party games on PC, because then I can take them with me on the go on the Ally as well. So that's the reason why I always say, if Xbox ever makes an Xbox handheld, I want them to solve that third-party problem. Yeah. if they release just another Windows-based handheld device, like we have now tons out there, yeah. It's this, we have the Ally, we have the Lenovo. There are so many Windows-based PC handhelds out there. If you wanna diversify yourself from that market and solve the third-party problem for your console audience, you have to bring out a handheld that is running on the same OS and same account like your consoles do. Yeah. So that was a very long monologue of mine. And actually, we were trying to answer the question, how do we prepare for the podcast?
Yeah.
So
I took a dive off there, but never mind. That was my fault.
Absolutely good. That's what I love about this show, man. We always get distracted. So where were we? Jonathan Smith writes in and says, "Hey guys, do you expect AI tech for NPC scripting to vastly change end-user experiences in games going forward for Microsoft with their new partnership?" I think we covered that pretty much. But anyway, Jonathan, thank you so much for the question. And Pill 98 writes in, "Hey guys, with Clockwork Revolution now available to be put on the wish list on Steam, do you think it's available first half of 24? Yeah, I've seen that, man. You can wishlist now.
It is, but Steam, you can wishlist everything on Steam for like years in advance. So that means nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally got Clockwork Revolution as an icon and installed with a 300 megabit like thing on Xbox right now.
On the console?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that you could do that.
You can search Clockwork Revolution on your phone on the Xbox app, and it'll pop up with an icon, and you can install it. It'll give you the 300 gig space, I think. Yeah.
That is new to me, because I was when I saw the question, I thought, yeah, man, you can wishlist on Steam. You can wishlist games years in advance. But on Xbox, you can...
Just to kind of put it into perspective, I have, if I go into pre-orders, South of Midnight, Avowed, and Clockwork, all there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I don't know first half 24. That sounds a little early. I could see it being a 24 game, though, because actually... that game, what they've shown at this year's E3 show, it didn't look to me like very early in development. I would say South of Midnight looked like that, because we still have no idea what that game actually is. They didn't show any kind of gameplay or anything. They just gave us an idea about the art style and tone of the game, and that's it. But with Clockwork, that was very different. We've seen snippets, a lot of gameplay snippets in that trailer. It was all made in engine. It was all made, it kind of looked relatively far along in development. So I don't know. I could see Clockwork being a 24 title, but if so, probably more towards the end of the year. Great question though. So Siki writes in and says, what do you guys want from GTA Online 2 to make it your regular service game? Have you played GTA Online and what turned you off?
So, I used to play GTA Online for a long time, but it was just a case of like this year. There's just so much to play that I'm not one of these people that can play something forever. I can't. No matter how much I love that game, I cannot be the person that turns a game on every day and plays the same thing forever. I have to change and play something else. As much as I like GTA, and I've finished the story a couple of times now on 360, on Xbox One, on PC, and I've played online. I did the heists when that came out, and then when the heists finished, that was me done with GTA Online.
Mm-hmm.
I've been back and played it a couple of times for silly things, but nothing too much. But then after that, it's just been so.
Yeah, I haven't played too much of GTA Online. I did one heist and baffled around a little bit just to see what the online actually is. But then I don't know, the next single player game came out and I was gone. I'm very similar in that way. I mean, if I think about games that I played for a very, very long time, like Age of Empires 4, played that religiously and for a very, very long time. Still play occasionally, but then a couple of other things came out. Diablo came out, and that was the game that took me out. And ever since, I have only played occasionally a match, just to realize like I'm out of practice, and get my butt kicked, so I'm also someone who doesn't play like games too long, and then just something else comes out, and I play something else. So I don't have many wishes of GTA Online 2. I do have the wish that they really separate the campaign and online. Like I said earlier. So Emblix writes in. He's actually also in the chat. Shout out to you, brother. He says, with the new Mass Effect and GTA games being heavily teased this week, and what we already know is coming in 24, what we already know is coming, 24 is looking like it may be able to stand up to 2023 with games like Avowed, Hellblade, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite, Tekken 8, Helldivers, Suicide Squad, DLC like Shadows of the Erdtree for Elden Ring. Do you think it has the chance of surpassing an already very impressive 2023 in terms of quality and quantity? And if so, do you consider this the golden age of gaming? So definitely the golden age of gaming. I mean, if that isn't the golden age, I don't know whatever will be. But he brings up a great question, man. We have, and he actually left a couple of my favorites out for the next year. So like, I'm super excited.
And then you've got to also now consider that GTA 6 could launch there.
Exactly, GTA 6. I would actually almost place a bet that this is a 24 title. Rockstar does not announce their games years in advance. They just don't. They don't have to. So GTA 6 coming next year. I could see things like Dragon Age come out next year. Again, I'm excited for Stalker 2. I really am. That is coming next year. So what do you think? 24? Can it live up to
every possibility? I mean, the only thing that you would look on separately is the critical response to the games that release next year. Because if we have a look at the games that released the tail end of this year, the critical response to Alan Wake and and Mario, and like every game that's released the tail end of this year has been like nothing less than 80 plus.
Yeah.
It's been like phenomenal, like across the board. Like every game that's released has been a hit. Every game.
I agree.
It's not like no. There's been like zero real flops.
Yeah.
It's been very few and far between. Like, yeah, we had Redfall at the beginning of the year that didn't hit the mark and things like that, but then that's got its patch and it's improved a little bit. But in the grand scheme of things, there's been like one or two like misnomers in a year that's been full of major hits across the board. Spider-Man, Starfield, Alan Wake, you name it, they've all hit.
Jedi Survivor, Diablo,
Yeah.
Resident Evil, Hogwarts. It's insane. Yeah, but so we shall see. But even if it does not surpass 2023,
it'll match it.
24 is gonna be an awesome year too, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, this year we have been particularly spoiled. So, but great question, man. So last question of the day, Dutch. A-Bomb414 writes in and says, would be interested in your take on Alana Pierce saying, I will never play any game that in-world AI has any part in making. So I don't follow Alana particular. I mean, she seems like a nice gal, but I really don't follow her too much, so I don't know.
This is one of the comments that I was kind of alluding to before when I said they didn't. I don't think they've read things through before they've made a comment. I don't think Alana Pierce seen the article that like the article blurb that was posted onto Twitter that said AI's like Microsoft's teaming up with AI to create narrative, blah blah blah. And I don't think she's actually looked into the article or the actual announcement from Microsoft to really see what it's about before making that comment. I really don't. I think if she took the time to actually educate herself on what was happening in this partnership, I don't think she would have reacted the way she did.
So, Surf in the chat says, can you repeat what she said? She said, and I'm not even following her on Twitter. So she said, I will never play any game that in-world AI has any part in making. So I think it will be tough if you force yourself not to play any game where AI has been used to make. Honestly, that is ridiculous because at the end of the day, within the next 2-3 years, there won't be any games that won't have to some degree, in completely different ways, can be used, like we explained earlier, could be used as a dev tool to create, I don't know, assets, textures, whatnot, could be used as for communication with
could
NPCs.
Be super sample.
There's billions of ways how you can use AI in theory, but I think, yeah,
like Microsoft Flight Sim uses AI for world generation and weather.
She works for Santa Monica. Yeah, she's obviously a game dev. That's also like obviously, and she's a writer there. Yeah, and I think the writers are going to be the first ones that might be laid off. So there might be also a little overreaction. I don't want to say overreaction because losing your job sucks, no doubt. Yeah. Again, I see this as one of the threats that could come out of AI. But I wouldn't go as far to say I will never play a game that has AI in it. That's just not. That's just not the thing. Yeah. To do. So yeah. But Dutch. We are almost 3 hours already into the show. So I want to wrap things up. You have an awesome charity week, streaming week going on. So, yeah, before you let everyone know, I I want to say a big thank you to all the people that showed up, all the gamers that engaged here with us and that listened to us. We super appreciate you all. Sitting here with us each and every week, listening to the things we have to say about gaming and stirring up great discussions in the chat. We super appreciate that. So big shout out to all you guys, and of course a big shout out to everyone who listens after the fact on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if you made it this far. Although the analytics say the retention rate on Spotify and Apple Podcasts is significantly better than here on YouTube. So people are listening longer there.
This week has been low.
All right. But again, thanks. And Dutch, let everyone know what you have going on with your charity stream week.
Yes. So this week we are raising money for, this month we are raising money for Special Effect. Of course, this week specifically is streaming. So we've been streaming games every night over a multitude of streamers for Special Effect. And on this weekend coming up, I'm doing a 24-hour marathon stream that involves the community, so you can get in and play some games with us, whether it be PUBG or Party Animals or other games. So we'll have some fun there. But Special Effect, of course, is a charity, and I'll just read off the blurb here from them specifically. Special Effect are a charity that transforms the life of people with physical challenges right across the world through innovative use of technology. They're enabling inclusion and enjoyment by helping people to unlock the magic of video games to the best of their abilities, bringing communication, independence, and hope for people in intensive care units with severe injuries, and using telepresent robots to reconnect medically isolated children with their education and friends. So we're raising money specifically for them this week. We have a target of 1,500. We are around about the 26% mark now, so we're a quarter of the way at the target. Every little helps. Everyone who's donated so far, thank you. Every little helps towards that target, no matter whether it's £2, £5, whatever it is. If you can spare anything, it would be much appreciated. But yes, this week, a 24-hour marathon live stream over on the Midweek Mix-Up Twitch and YouTube channel, Wondering Dutch channel.
Yeah.
And then the end of the month, doing a mountain hike. So I'm climbing a mountain. So entirely different,
Good Lord.
But still for the same charity.
It sounds like I better look out for another co-host than do. Because you're gonna be destroyed. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I love what you do for the community anyway, with the indie community showcase and everything else you do. But this is really outstanding. I know it's a lot of work as well, but it's for a great cause. So that's really, really an awesome thing. And UK Deserters also put the link again in the chat if anyone looks for it after the fact. Just click in the show notes. The link is there also. So you should be able to find that if you want to try to help and support that as well. Other than that, I'm really looking forward to the weekend. Long days at work lately, and I have so many great games. Alan Wake and Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty is insanely good. So I can't wait to play that. And I do hope that you all will also have an awesome weekend. Play some games. Enjoy this golden age of gaming, definitely. And other than that, we see you guys next week. And don't forget to game on.